I guess we already know just how powerful reflexive verbs are in Spanish, but there's something even more that we can add into it. And that is that sometimes making a verb reflexive actually changes the meaning of that verb. And I'm going to give you a very good example right now. We're already very familiar with the verb ir, which is to go. But if we make that verb reflexive, irse, now it means to leave. So let's work with this idea just in the present tense. How would you say I go? Boy. If we want to express I leave, we make it reflexive. Me, boy. Literally, I go myself. This me standing for myself and boy, I go. So I go myself. In Spanish, that is understood as I'm leaving. Me boy. Ya me boy. Now I'm leaving. How would you say you go? Vas. You leave or you are leaving. Te vas. Here we added in te vas. Let's continue through the angles. He, she, or it goes. How would you say that? Va. But he, she, or it leaves. Se va. How would you say we go? Vamos. We leave or we are leaving. Nos vamos. Nos vamos. They go. Van. They leave. Se van. Let's do this now in real time. We have the verb ir, to go. And so we're already familiar with our handles like boya, basa, ba, vamosa, etc. But what we want to use is just a simple I go. So not a handle. So I go is boy. But if we make that reflexive and say me boy, it means I'm leaving. If we have, say, vas for you go, if we make it reflexive, te vas, or ya te vas, for example, now you're leaving, ya te vas. For he, she, and it, we just have ba. He goes, she goes, or it goes. Making it reflexive, se va. Now we have he's leaving, she's leaving, or it's leaving. Then we have we for vamos, and normally in the handle we have vamosa. But now we're just expressing we go, right? We're not using it as a handle. So we have nos vamos, we're turning it into a reflexive, like making it reflexive. So that means we're leaving, nos vamos. Then finally we have the angle of they, which is van, they go, van. And if we make it reflexive, se van, it means they're leaving. So here we have a really good example of how a verb just in its normal state can mean one thing, but if you make it reflexive, it means something totally different. And there are many verbs in Spanish that work in this way. This principle of a change in meaning happens across all the tenses. So it doesn't matter if it's the present tense, the future, a thought past, or a line past. The change in meaning, once you make it reflexive, happens. For example, if we take I'm going to go, we'll do this in real time. So we have our handle, boya, and then the verb to go, ir. So boya ir, I'm going to go. But if we made it reflexive, boya irme, now this has changed to I'm going to leave, because we made the verb reflexive, boya irme. Try to think out how you would say, are you going to leave now? ¿Vas a irte ahora? See how we made it reflexive, irte. If this wasn't here, it would be, are you going to go now? ¿Vas a ir ahora? But with the reflexive, ¿vas a irte ahora? Now we made it into, are you going to leave now? Try this one. He's going to leave for Madrid tomorrow. Va a irse para Madrid mañana. Let's break this down. So he's going, va, that's the handle. Now, To leave, we made the verb ir reflexive, irse. Literally, he's going to go himself. Va a irse. And then to Madrid, or for Madrid, para Madrid, tomorrow, mañana. Va a irse para Madrid, mañana. Let's change angles. We're going to leave soon. How would you say that? Vamos a irnos pronto. Again, it's the same thing at work. Getting rid of this, we have we're going to go soon. But making it reflexive, vamos a irnos pronto, we're going to leave soon. And you hear that all the time. Finally, for they're not going to leave tomorrow. How would you say that? No van a irse mañana. Now we have the se for themselves. So they're not going to, no van a, leave, irse. We have the full verb because we have a handle here. No van a irse mañana. They're not going to leave tomorrow. Things get even more interesting if we jump into the dot past. So we'd have fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, and fueron. So fui, I went. Fuiste, you went. Fue, he or she, it went. Fuimos, we went. And fueron, they went. But if we make it reflexive, now it becomes I left. For example, here, if I say me fui, it means I left, not I went. Or tu fuiste, you left. Se fue, he left, she left, it left. Nos fuimos, we left. And se fueron, they left. You see how dramatically it changed in meaning from they went to they left in the dot past. This is why reflexive verbs in Spanish are incredibly powerful, and it's very important that you learn to become comfortable with them. Try this on your own now. How would you say I left? Me fui. You left. Te fuiste. He left. Se fue. We left. Nos fuimos. They left. Se fueron. The exact same thing happens in line past. So we know that we have this key sound of iba, and we use that a lot as a handle. So I was going to do whatever, right? So that would be iba a, say I was going to do it, hacerlo. Iba a hacerlo. We have this handle of I was going to. But if we get rid of this, we don't use it as a handle, so we're simply saying I was going. We get rid of the a, and now we just have iba for I was going. Not I was going to, but just I was going. Iba. Like this, iba. Now, if we make that reflexive, iba, and we said me iba, now what we're expressing is I was leaving. Let's do it once again. So iba means I was going just on its own. It's the line past for the verb ir. Iba, I was going. Making it reflexive, literally I was going myself. In Spanish that means I was leaving. Me iba. Let's take another one. You were going just on its own. Ibas. If we make it reflexive, te ibas. Now we're expressing you were leaving. So we have ibas here. Okay, so you were going. But making it reflexive, te ibas, this going now changes to leaving, changes in meaning because we made it reflexive. How would you say just he, she, or it was going? Iba. It's the same as I was going, or he, she, it was going. It's all iba. Now try to express, say she was leaving. Could mean he was leaving, she was leaving, it was leaving. But how would you do that? Se iba. We just put the se to make it reflexive. So se iba could mean he was leaving, she was leaving, or it was leaving. How would you express we were going? Íbamos. Íbamos. For example, we could have in our handle, íbamos a hacerlo. We were going to do it. Íbamos a decirle. We were going to tell him or her. Íbamos a decirte. We were going to tell you. This íbamos without the a just means we were going. Íbamos. Now, for we were leaving, make that reflexive. Nos íbamos. Here we have the reflexive part. Nos íbamos. So it changes. Íbamos on its own means we were going. But reflexive, nos íbamos means we were leaving. Lastly, let's try this one. They were going. How would you say that? Iban. They were leaving. Se iban. As I mentioned before, there are many verbs in Spanish which do this. They kind of act like double agents. They mean one thing if you use them as regular verbs, but they change their clothes. They change their meaning if you use them reflexively. The way to make a verb reflexive is very simple. We just use our 5 friends here. Me, te, se, nos, and se. Let's illustrate this now with the verb hablar. So this is a very early verb, one that we're well acquainted with. Hablar, to speak, or to talk. If I say hablo, it's I speak. But if I make it reflexive, me hablo, now means I speak to myself or I talk to myself. Changing angles again, we have hablas for you speak or you talk. Now te hablas is you talk to yourself. Then we have he, she, and it, habla. And now se habla, he talks to himself, she talks to herself, even it talks to itself if you like. For we have hablamos. That's just we talk. Nos hablamos, we talk to ourselves. Then lastly, we have they. So hablan, they talk or they speak. Se hablan, we made it reflexive now. They talk to themselves. Se hablan. The important thing to understand is that all the way through, I was conjugating the verb normally. Hablo, hablas. Habla, hablamos, hablan. The only thing that changed was using the me, te, se, nos, and se to make it reflexive. Now, in this example, it didn't change the meaning very much. For example, I talk, hablo, or I talk to myself, me hablo, it's still talk. Okay, so the meaning didn't change that much. But the point of this video is to illustrate to you that in Spanish, with some verbs, making them reflexive does change the meaning drastically. So if we have fui for I went, right? That's a dot past, I went, fui. If I make that reflexive, me fui, now we have a huge change because now this means I left. Not I went, but I left. This is one of the reasons why reflexive verbs in Spanish are incredibly important for you to understand, because they add massive power into what you're able to express simply because you're no longer intimidated by making verbs reflexive, going from fui to me fue. Something so simple, but you get a massive reward in the amount now you're able to express simply because you feel comfortable making verbs reflexive.